part similar, but the weight is interesting because, as you pointed out, it was supposed to be a 140-pound fight. They mutually agreed to.
At welterweight, Broner, who is in the red with white trim, taking on the undefeated Jovanie Santiago in the blue with green trim.
Santiago is a body puncher first, and mostly Broner kind of gives you the body. He defends against the head and doesn't worry so much about the body. Santiago throws 42% of his punches to the body, and he has had several knockouts to the body, as you pointed out, including his last fight.
Unfortunately for Broner's fans and general, really since the loss to Marcos Maidana, we've really seen him become an ultra-defensive fighter. And Abner, the real big criticism, he just doesn't throw enough punches.
Yeah, he hasn't in the past, unfortunately. He is a little gun-shy. And it usually happens when he has someone that throws a lot, that overwhelms him with punches. He lets the fighters get in easy inside him, and he lets the body expose. So let's see if we see a different Broner this time.
Here's a statistic that highlights the chasm in experience. Coming into this fight, Santiago had logged 61 professional rounds compared to Broner's 82 in title fights.
Yeah, just in title fights alone. Yeah, clearly Broner is the best fighter he's ever faced, and certainly has a huge experience edge in his 12-year career. You know, Broner he's only averaging 33 punches per round in his last 3 fights, but the good news is he lands his power punches at 43%. He's a very accurate power puncher.
I got to say, losing nearly 40 pounds in training camp must have felt like having a dentist appointment every hour on the hour. And again, a lot of this self-inflicted. We know that Broner has had mental health issues, has dealt with a lot of trials and tribulations, but we're here to chronicle and document this prize fight. And here in the opening round, final minute of the first round, very much a wait and see. Not a huge start by any means.
Yeah, Santiago has been averaging 70 punches a round. He has thrown 10 in this round, but then again 11, but Broner's only thrown 10. So clearly, as you point out, a feeling out round in which they're both trying to figure out what the other guy has.
Of course, let's hope they don't feel each other up for 12 rounds, because that can be the concern, Abner. As we go into the final 35 seconds, we've heard all of the talk, and we know how much of a draw and an attraction Adrien Broner has been. Let's not forget, at 26, he was the second youngest fighter to have won titles in 4 or more different divisions. Oscar De La Hoya was the youngest, but he needs to deliver in the squared circle, at least in terms of a more dynamic offense.
One thing that Broner's good at is picking his punches. So I think this style in Santiago benefits Broner. He can pick his shots easily, jab, body, anything he wants.
Who should be applauded for challenging himself against the best in the business. Pacquiao was the 10th champion that Broner has faced.
See, and Broner's known by a fighter that he starts slow. He picks his punches. You know, he jabs good. He's a thinker. He's a fighter that likes to think in there.
I don't want to belabor the point, Abner, but it's not just that he starts slow. He stays.
He stays up.
Honestly, that's the problem.
You know,
unfortunately,
something that Santiago's doing that's interesting. He's doing a lot of feinting. You see him there doing a lot of feinting, and I think that part of that is he wants to see if Broner will bite on that and whether that'll help him get that right hand in.
Santiago's most notable win to date came in April of 2017 when, despite being knocked down twice by right hooks, he defeated faded 42-year-old lefty and former 140-pound titleist DeMarcus Corley by 10-round unanimous decision. Here, stepping up to 12 rounds for the first time in the fight. He had 4 fights scheduled for 10. Corley, the only one that went the full distance.
And the only other win that would take notice would be against Ivan Cano, who at one point was kind of a fringe contender in the 140-pound division. Those would be the only 2 you'd point to with someone that was of note, but as we pointed out, Broner's certainly the best he's faced thus far.
And here with 1 minute and 13 left in the second, still waiting for Santiago to live by his words of a strong pressure fighter. He said the fans can expect an action-packed fight, and so he said he's going to attack the body. It's a tactic he tries to use in every fight.
Time limit. When I say break, break, okay? Stop the holding. Time in.
And
Yes,
Santiago's good at going at the body, especially that right hand to the body. He's really well with punching that.
Well, there's been no pressure from Santiago, and Broner, of course, waiting to counterattack.
Keep him up.
And thus far, punches have been at a premium with 30 seconds left in the second.
Saw him try to go to the body. Santiago there with the left took it straight a little low. He hasn't really been in position to throw many body punches yet in this fight.
Let's go to Brian.
Let's give him a break. Let's give him at least 5 rounds. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt on Broner. You know, I think he's going to start choosing his punches and little by little start breaking down Santiago. At least that's what I want to see from Adrien Broner.
There's the right hand from Broner. That, of course, is his major power punch. And he's trying to now set it up with the jab. So they're going to get a little bit busier. Santiago's a fighter that likes to come forward. So if Broner could back him up, which he's doing a little bit there, that would put him off his game, to be sure. And the other thing is, we mentioned that DeMarcus Corley knocked down Santiago twice, and that's the 42-year-old version of DeMarcus Corley. So, we don't know how well he will respond to power punches.
Broner's had 12 fights since rising from lightweight, weighing over 140. He's gone 4-3-1, weighing 140 or under. He's gone 3-1, and since he won the title in his 4th different division, he's gone 2-2-1, and he's fought only 5 times in 5+ years.
There's a key moment in this fight. He's on the inside, Santiago, and he's throwing a few punches, and he was broken pretty quickly by Arthur Mercanti Jr. He's going to need to be allowed to work on the inside there.
After being trained by Kevin Cunningham for his last 2 fights, longtime trainer Mike Stafford is back as a head man in Broner's corner, while Santiago has been trained throughout his career by Raul Papo Torres.
If Santiago is to get on the inside where he can do some of that body work, and there it is, he's going to have to jab his way in a little bit better.
He's jabbing with Broner, which is good. He has Broner. Yeah, he's got Broner thinking now.
And there's the body work.
And that's the body work. And Broner, he at times he just falls into ropes and he gets comfortable, too comfortable to let the opponent, lets his hands go.
This has been a pretty good round so far for Santiago.
Yes.
Santiago whitewashing Broner when it comes to body shots landed. 11 zip. There's 12. And there's a left hook upstairs that lands for Santiago. Indeed doing his best work of the fight here in the 3rd.
I mentioned at the top of the show that Santiago's a decent ring technician, which he is. And he knows he keeps a good guard. He throws his punches well. So he gets credit for that.
And he should get credit for this last 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Have dealt with my own fair share of personal issues. I was very struck by Adrien Broner asking his trainer Stafford going, I won that round too, right? There was a bit of it's an interesting comment. Am I reading too much into it, Abner?
No, you're not. Broner probably noticed that, he gave Santiago too many opportunities and he might have lost that round, which I think he did.
And, Santiago threw 53 punches in that last round. That was, getting him back up more toward the number we would expect him to throw. And I think a key here is whether that Santiago jab can continue to work. He landed one a moment or two ago. It helps him get in the punching range for those body shots. And for Broner, he's having a hard time getting off with his punches. It just is. It's not been easy so far in this fight for him.
Yeah, it's definitely not looking as smooth as Eastern Jr. did. Him having been off for so long.
Good point.
As well.
Mm-hmm. Well, power outage. Paltry numbers there when it came to the power punches out.
Yeah, very, very small indeed for for them and for Adrien Broner for sure. And there's a right hand that gets downstairs. You know, it may be necessary in this fight, if this continues to go the way it's going, for Broner to hurt Santiago, to at least make him feel power, so that he won't gain the feeling, the confidence that he can come in like this.
The power hasn't come with him past 135.
No, it has not, and that's been a problem for him.
And an interesting note you mentioned, Al, is that the referee is not letting Santiago work in the inside.
Exactly.
Something that, you know, Maidana, Mikey Garcia, a lot of these fighters were able to do.
Yeah, it's a very, really, it could be a key factor in this.
There's Santiago going to the body, finishes with a left hook upstairs, continues to target the body, another right hand to the body. Meanwhile, Broner putting his forearm in the face of Santiago, and it's Santiago leading with a couple of right hands.
And the other thing that will be important is whether the judges give Santiago credit for these body punches. They should, but sometimes they don't. So that's going to be an issue as well.
Well, he's throwing more punches, landing more punches.
I mean, in this round, Adrien Broner has thrown 19 punches. You know, it's not enough.
But he's here to take over the sport of boxing. 10 seconds left in the fourth. Adrien the Problem Broner, who's had, he's reinvented himself more than Madonna. And here we are now entering round number 5. And he's in tough against an unheralded Jovanie Santiago. Oh, wait a minute.
Come here, champ. Listen, we're going to act like gentlemen. It was a mistake. It's the same time as the bell went. Touch gloves. Not going to stand for this shit.
When Broner got against the ropes, that's, you know, he goes upstairs, then he comes down with the right hand and the left hook. The right hand got blocked a little bit, but that's the template for Santiago. And a second look at this, you see the right hand did get in very well. The left hook semi-landed against Broner, and against the ropes is not the posture he wants.
A point, he had been penalized a point for low blows back in 2018, but that's the first time
you keep your cool.
Deducted a point for punching after the bell.
Well, you know, we didn't see it exactly, but when we saw it live, I really thought they both were punching after the bell, and once Broner hit him, that's when Santiago responded.
A little late for my liking.
Needs to see more punching before the bell. There's a left hand that lands for Broner.
And that point could have an impact, because that was a round that we thought Santiago probably had won.
I'm impressed with Santiago's willingness, as he said, to take the fight to Broner, and his punch placement has been pretty impressive as well, Abner.
Yes, and this is exactly what he needs to do. He's following instructions. I mean, again, I mentioned it. If you're fighting a Broner that hasn't been in the ring in so long, been inactive, you know, he lost 35 pounds to get to this fight. You know, you're Santiago, you go in there, you test his willingness. You go in there and overwhelm him with punches. And the body work that he's known for.
Yeah,
Santiago.
he's overwhelming him in terms of body shots landed. 1 is the loneliest number.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't expect Adrien Broner to land much to the body, but 1 is pretty low.
Yes.
Now there's Broner throwing the right hand. He is going to have to land the right hand of note here to keep Santiago from being willing to attack at this level and throw as many punches as he's throwing.
All right, keep it clean. Oh, that's it. Keep it clean.
Let's go. Keep it on the outside.
This is another round in which, you know, Santiago has pretty much doubled the number of punches Broner has thrown and has landed more. So Broner has to do something to change that dynamic.
With 1 minute left here in the 5th round, Adrien Broner has just thrown his 100th punch in the fight. And there's a jab that splits the guard. Santiago landing the more eye-catching shots, working the body.
Santiago almost retired from boxing and a 5-year layoff, and the people at the gym said, you have got to get back to this, you have talent. He said, you know what, I took that to heart. He got back into it. Now here he is center stage, fighting in the most important fight of his life and doing pretty well so far.
Santiago applying smart pressure fighting right now. He's pushing Broner back, but being smart about it, not just rushing in.
And doing what his trainer said, keep your hands up so you don't get countered. Did knock down Sean Porter with a check left hook in the last round of their fight. It is a good weapon for him if he can use it.
Well, Santiago taking the fight to Adrien Broner here. 6th round, working the body. Mid-range, leads with the left hook, right hand to the body. Broner blocking with the left glove. 2 minutes remaining in the 6th.
And there was that check left hook. He threw it there. He just didn't quite land it, Broner. But and there it is again.
Left hook by Broner.
Okay, now Broner's giving Santiago the opportunity to land. Yep. Okay, if I'm Santiago, I stay in that range right there. Not too close yet, not too far.
Well, Broner picking up activity here, nearing the midpoint of the 6th.
And you know, a lot of breaks are happening in this fight when there really is no reason to break the fighters. I got to be honest.
Good point, yes.
And I like Santiago going to the jab upstairs before landing that left hook to the body.
Broner's standing his ground now like he wants to back Santiago up, but he doesn't throw punches at that point.
And it's Santiago, well, they're in a bit of a standstill, but Santiago definitely not being swallowed up by the moment. The biggest opportunity of his career. Wasn't the first choice to fight Adrien Broner tonight, but is bringing the fight to the problem.
Watch your head.
And he's throwing some wicked body punches. And you know, in this round, he's thrown 53 punches to 12 for Broner. Broner's making it hard for someone to give him this round.
Yeah.
I mean, he just
that
is.
Go for every round of this fight, unfortunately. And I hate to
look, he lands a good uppercut. He's landing some shots, but he's not throwing enough to make a difference.
And how is this different from other fights?
Yeah, exactly.
30 seconds left in the 6th.
Hey, we're here to report.
Yes, sir. We're chronicling the events at ringside here at the Fight Sphere. The return of Adrien, the problem Broner's had his problems with Jovanie Santiago, the 31-year-old, coming into this fight with a record of 14-0-1. 10 seconds left in the first half of this 12-rounder, which is now being contested at welterweight.
And remember, in round 4, that point being deducted turned what would probably be a 10-9 round for Santiago into a 9-9 round.
All right, at the halfway point of this 12-round, 147-pound fight, how does our unofficial score, Steve Farhood, have it?
Well, Mo, Al, you are exactly right, because the 4th round was clearly for Santiago. At the start of the 5th, kind of odd timing, referee Arthur McCanty took a point away from Santiago for punching after the bell in the 4th. Still with that, I have 58-55 Santiago, with the show stats telling us the body punch connects 48-3 for Santiago. That is why he's ahead of my card.
And Santiago has landed 42% of his body shots in his career. The show stats average just under 30, so he's deft at the body work.
Okay, break. You're sharp. Let's stop talking. Box.
Abner Martes, how do you assess this fight after 6 rounds?
Well, you know, I was giving Broner the benefit of the doubt here, like I told you guys, the 6th, this is the 7th, and I still have not seen that urgency from Broner or a change in his arsenal or his game plan. Still picking the shots, 1-2, not doing it enough.
Broner has found one little, unlocked one secret. The uppercut on the inside has been a very effective weapon for him against Santiago when he leans in. And I think we'll see more of those, but that's just one small element.
Yes, and he's always had that, but I mean, you got to do more than that.
Of course, clearly.
And yes. Santiago is doing more, although he gets picked off there with the jab as he tries to come in. Final minute of the 7th. Counter right from Broner.
And this round's been a little better for Broner, I think. Now, he's still not throwing a lot of punches, and I think Santiago might still be ahead in this round, but Broner has done a little better offensively.
And we talked about if there was ever an opportunity for Santiago to get a great name on his belt.
This is it.
This is it.
I mean, this fell literally into his lap, and he wants to make the most of it. Say what we will about the in-ring exploits, the out-of-the-ring exploits of Adrien Broner, but he's proven to be a draw, and it's almost like, you know, Howard Stern back in the day. Half of the people listened to Howard Stern because they loved him, half hated him, and same with Adrien Broner. He knows it. A lot of people are watching to see Adrien Broner lose. But he wants to turn the tables, and with 10 seconds left here in the 7th, he has to start to put together his offense, and now he's showing some life. And there Adrien Broner put together the best sequence of the fight.
And some of them have been closer.
And Broner seeing all those punches as he was able to avoid that combination. Under just over a minute gone in the 8th. Abner, I mean, you're the guy who's been in the wars. You're the champion. What are you seeing in front of your eyes right now here in round number 8?
You know what? Before that end of round 7, I think he did hear what you said, and it triggered a Broner to let his hands go a little bit more, and he looked great. It looked like the old Broner. But what am I seeing? I seen the Broner back to late jab. You know, that's a great jab, but you got to do a little bit more than that. You gotta convince yourself. You got to convince us that you're back, and so far he's not doing so.
Jab through the guard by Santiago. Broner unable to find the range. Pop that jab off the forehead of Santiago. Santiago comes in with the 1-2. A minute left in the 8th.
Santiago's punch output has gone down a little bit in the last few rounds. Oh my. That almost was a knockdown. I don't know if he got hit with that left hook or not.
And now Broner has Santiago on the rope. Santiago a little bobbing and weaving and able to, well, almost exit before he got hit with that right hand from Broner, and now it's Santiago muscling Broner to the ropes. Mercanti calls for the break. Coming up on the final 30 seconds of the 8th round. Counter left hand by Broner as Santiago went to the body with the right.
Broner has found that counter left hook. That's the one that almost caused a knockdown. In fact, we don't know if his knee touched, but it was close.
And I believe there was a cut on Santiago's eye.
He's been known to have a problem with cuts, especially over the left eye.
This is by far Broner's best round in the fight. A knockdown. A left hand that sent no. I don't know if his glove touched. It may not have. It's really hard to tell. And we'll look overhead and see if that gives us a better view. His knees did not touch. The question would be whether the right glove touched. How he kept his balance, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like that glove touched the mat.
Mercanti deducting 1 point for hitting after the bell at the end of round 4, deducting a point from Santiago where we saw the replay, and both of them could have been deducted points for punching after the bell.
You know, Broner has had only 1 stoppage in his last 12 fights, so it's not like he gets a lot of knockouts. So.
And again, Al, not to belabor the point, 147 pounds this fight is being contested on. He's shown no signs of any power at this weight.
Eso. No te quedes parado frente a él si no tira. No dejes que te la monte yo abajo. Quiero golpes de poder ahora, golpes duros.
Now Broner beginning to unload on Santiago. A minute gone in the 9th.
Adrien, that's it. Act like a professional. That's it.
I see Broner getting a little bit more of a groove now. That jab definitely landing, being really fast with it, and now seeing Broner that he's looking him dead in the eye, thinking.
Well, that was a subtle shift in that last round where the offensive Broner was more effective, to be sure.
Okay. That's how you want to fight?
Stop talking,
Broner saying, is that how you want to fight? And that could
You a champ, act like one.
lead to extracurricular activities. Meanwhile, Mercanti having a conversation with Broner, and Santiago coming forward gets countered with a short right uppercut by Broner.
Yes, sir.
And again, that counter short right uppercut. And there's a jab to the body by Broner.
And mixed in that was a right to the body of Santiago, but those body punches are fewer and farther between right now for him.
Final minute of the 9th round.
And I like what he tried to do there a little bit, Broner. He was talking to him, but at the same time, he was talking to himself. He's trying to evoke that old Broner, that 4-time world champion that he was. I think Broner, at moments he shows, that old Broner, and I like it, especially landing a 3-piece, 1-2, being effective with that jab. I'm liking what I'm seeing in this 9th round from Broner.
Yeah, Broner was an incredible amateur fighter. Started at the age of 6, had over 300 amateur bouts. Came in with so much hype and delivered again, becoming the 2nd youngest fighter to win 4 titles in 4 more different divisions at 26. But
A cut from a punch.
lived the life outside the ring and now trying yet to mount another comeback.
Be tightening. Let's go back to round number 4, where a point was deducted from Santiago for hitting late. And the explanation given to us by the commission is, yes, Broner may have punched late, but Santiago punched way late, and that was the rationale for taking the point away from him. But that point deduction could become very big in this fight.
Oh, sorry, bro.
It is tightening up on Steve Farhood's unofficial scorecard. He's given Broner the last 2 rounds.
That's it. Keep it clean. Break.
And that's been,
break,
again,
break.
you talk about the amount of rounds that
When I say break,
Broner has given away in the past before his engine gets revved up. And here we are seeing signs of life, and we are in
Watch your head.
the, 1 minute gone in the 10th round.
Yes, definitely seen signs of life from Broner. Not giving rounds away. He's picking his shots really well.
There's that left hook that clipped Santiago, and
Get your free. Hands are free.
Santiago's still throwing more punches, but Broner has been landing at a higher percentage. For instance, he's landed, according to Showstat, 6 of the 13 punches he's thrown in this round. So he's landing at a good percentage.
yeah, landed that left hook to the jaw. And Santiago now closing in, missing with that sweeping left hook, misses with that 1-2. Good defense by Broner, moving out of the way. And that left hook bounced off Broner's glove.
It's a close round. This round, I think, is really a nip and tuck one, that this last minute we could decide the winner.
Break.
Santiago continues to target the body.
Stop talking, champ. Come on.
Final 60 seconds of the 10th,
Stop
and
pushing.
Santiago with that lead right.
That was a terrific left hook downstairs by Santiago. And I think what he did in that last 15 or 20 seconds, he doesn't want to give it away, because that could have been the changer in this round.
Yeah, there's times that Broner just falls asleep and lets Santiago land. But when Broner wakes up, it's back to business.
As strong as you almost, bro.
Great jab.
Final 20 seconds of the 10th round. Santiago misses with the jab, then closes the distance, and they clinch. But Adrien Broner beginning to show glimpses of a better offense as we head into the penultimate round. And here's boxing historians' minutes.
Now, I think that last round's going to be a very important round. I personally thought Santiago won that round, but which way it falls for Broner could have a big impact. Santiago is in a round he's never seen. He has not been to this level in a fight before. Broner is 4-4-1 in 12-round fights, but he's been there, of course, many times.
Abner, did you expect Santiago to be as competitive as he's been?
I am an AB also. Abner Miles, AB.
You're a class
But you know what? In the last rounds, you're right, Al. I mean, they're being close rounds, but Santiago is being the pressure fighter in those last rounds, but I think that Broner's being the most effective, especially with that jab.
I thought up to the last round he was, but I thought last round Santiago did better. But now Broner's getting that jab on track.
And Santiago again being the pressure fighter in these right now in these minutes, but eating that jab like crazy. Jab. I mean, you can win a round, a fight with a single jab.
Yeah, Broner pulling a Max Holloway here, and I guess trying to say something to us as well as he gets popped with that jab. And again, focus has to be on Jovanie Santiago and only Jovanie Santiago.
This round is this fight in microcosm. So far, Santiago's thrown 27 punches and Broner 11, but their landing rate is probably very similar.
But there is the problem right there, the 11 punches you just mentioned, sir.
And I'm seeing a slower Santiago now.
Yeah.
He's lunging in. Broner's using the ring really well.
He's moving his head and he's feinting as he's coming in, but he's not able to quite corner Broner as he did a little earlier in the fight. But then again, Broner, he's not throwing too much, so who's going to win this round?
Broner marking Santiago's face up with that jab. There's a right hand. Broner's defense on display, starting to get his groove back here in the latter stages of this fight. And that is the biggest factor now is time. Final 30 seconds of the 11th round is upon us.
I don't know, guys. I'm starting to see a Broner, finding himself getting back in groove, like you mentioned, Mo. He's not much, not volume punching, but effective punching.
He's won 3 of the last 4 rounds for sure. The one question is in the 10th round.
Is he winning over his fan base and the critics as we head to the 12th and final round here at the Fight Sphere?
Last round.
Let's bring in our unofficial scorer, Steve Farhood.
Well, to nobody's surprise, this is a very, very close fight. Al mentioned the 10th as a swing round. I gave that to Broner, but the 7th was the round where Broner rallied late. I still gave that round to Santiago. And what's interesting is with that point deduction in round 4, this is very unlikely to be a draw. So let's see. I have it dead even, and the winner of this round wins the fight on my card.
Broner said he thought it was obviously be Pacquiao. I wonder what he will say about this decision if it makes it to the judges' scorecards. 2:15 left in the 12th.
Great point by Steve about the deduction and it not likely being a draw. Now, Santiago came out blazing in this round and has done well, though Broner landed a very flashy right hand.
Last round, no
if
holding.
I'm Jovanie Santiago, Abner, correct me if I'm wrong. These are the biggest 2 minutes of his career. He's on the stage. He's in the ring against Adrien Broner. It's time to put it all on the line.
I think for both at this point, for Broner to really close the show and try to get the draw or the win.
Right now, it appears Santiago's getting the better of it.
But that's what I'm saying. So obviously, Santiago's in. Also, obviously, this is the biggest round in his career.
Santiago's done very well in the first half of this round, landing to both the body and the head.
I hope.
And yet you remember what Santiago's cornerman, Raul Papo Torres, said, we need a knockout. You know what the sport's about, unfortunately.
That is called B-side-itis.
Man, it's a sad state of affairs, isn't it?
I agree.
A minute left here in the 12th and final round. Santiago and now Broner trying to unload. Broner with a short left hook.
Now, there is no way Santiago is not winning this last round.
Yes.
So who knows how the judge will see it, but that's an important statement that he's made in this last round.
Counter left hook upstairs by Adrien Broner. 40 seconds left in the fight. We've seen Adrien Broner come on over the second half of the scrap, according to our unofficial scorer, Steve Farhood, but 30 seconds left. Jovanie Santiago, the biggest fight of his career, and he is bringing it to Broner here in the 12th and final round. Goes downstairs with a right hand. Final 15 seconds, and it looks like it's going to come down to the three judges seated at ringside to adjudicate a winner in tonight's main event.
Nice fight, boys. Nice fight. That's sportsmanship. Nice fight.
Part of the match, we saw this body work from Santiago as Broner was inactive a lot in those early rounds and languished on the ropes a little bit. Occasionally did things like that uppercut. But it was Santiago for the most part. Then Adrien Broner was able to come back offensively. Look at him there with a creative combination, Mike Tyson-like combination, a right and then a right uppercut. And he found a place for the check hook. Also some lunging by Santiago. That was a key moment. Had that been called a knockdown, it could have been a 2-point round for Broner. But Santiago was able to keep his balance and not go down. Then Santiago really... he was still taking punches from Broner, but by the last round, it was Santiago attacking and landing very, very effectively and having himself a monster.
Find out who wins. The answer is Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of action, we have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Glenn Feldman scores about 115 to 112. Judge Tom Carasone sees it 116 to 111. And Peter Harry scores about 117 to 110. All three in favor of the winner, Adrien the Problem Broner.
Nice job. Nice fight.
Adrien Broner returns and scores a unanimous decision.